We have a couple of things happening. During the day, I hope anyone who is available will join us to decorate the temple room. First we clean, then we decorate. So if you're available, I will be here tomorrow and hopefully with the team of devotees to decorate the temple nicely. I will be here by noon and stay as long as it takes. Tomorrow evening, there will be a team of devotees going out to distribute the shada to the homeless. Anyone who is enthusiastic for Vishal distribution is one way of devotional service. Vishal says you need to be at 4 if it will need to go downtown. So that is tomorrow. Tuesday is the appearance day of Lord Caitanya. The program will be starting around 4:15. And the schedule is in the newsletter. If you're not sure, you can come see me after the announcements tonight. We have Abhishek, class, course, very nice program. Also, anyone who wants to donate some of the ingredients for the Abhishek, see Mother Radhini. I have a list that she sent me, and also I'll put it in the WhatsApp. It's not too late if you bring it tomorrow. And on Wednesday, we have a new program that we're starting Kirtan in the evenings. I posted it in the newsletter and also in the WhatsApp. So if you're interested in adding some spiritual happiness to your life, come see me. I can sign you up for WhatsApp or I can sign you up for the newsletter.
I'm not showing the camera.
Thank you. And Hare Krishna.
Okay, that's it.
I want message.
Okay. Just click here, forward arrow, backward arrow here.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Moving along.
Go ahead.
Jaya Raja Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Raja Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janava Gopi Janava Jaya Gopi Janava Gopi Janava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Guanatana ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, all glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna, so, oh, Hare Krishna, too much, too much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. There's mercy all around. And I must say, I was planning to give a class, just a regular Bhagavad Gita class on the Bhagavad Gita. But last week, a senior Vaishnavi told me to give this class on Lord Caitanya. And I told her that it was a dream come true to speak about Lord Caitanya in honor of his birthday. And I don't have to fast that day. So really, really appreciate the opportunity. With that in mind, please raise your hand if you've ever heard of Lord Caitanya. All right. Now please raise your hand if you've ever heard of Jesus Christ. Yeah, he is pretty famous. Now, what I want you to do is tell me some similarities between Jesus and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You don't have to raise your hand, you can just tell me. Both had compassion, they were merciful to everyone.
Both traveled and preached the message of God.
Very good, both traveled and preached. Led by example, they were both leaders and they were both acharyas, we would say. They lived the principles, they practiced what they preached. What are some other similarities between Lord Caitanya and Jesus Christ?
They both had authority.
They both spoke with authority or spoke to authority?
They spoke with authority. They spoke because they had a strong conviction of what they were saying.
Yes, yes. How about the fact that they both focused on the personal relationship with God more than the ritual performances of religiosity? Jesus preached like something you could feel, this personal relationship, and so did Lord Caitanya. It wasn't about the Vedic, mantras and the rituals and the sacrifices. It was much more personal, right? They were also, go ahead. They both had disciples. That's right. And speaking of disciples, what kind of disciples did they have? Of what social status were the disciples? Were they kings? Were they princes? Were they aristocratic? Exactly. Jesus' disciples were fishermen. His apostles were fishermen. And Lord Caitanya, one of his closest associates, was a Muslim, Haridas Thakur. They were both nonviolent as well. There's no record in history of Jesus ever killing anyone or Lord Caitanya ever killing anyone. They were both nonviolent. And of course we know that the followers of both Lord Caitanya and Jesus Christ both see them as God, right? There are many followers of Jesus who see him as God, and there are many followers of Lord Caitanya who see him as God. But one similarity I want to focus on for this lecture is the fact that neither Lord Caitanya nor Jesus Christ was a writer. How many books did Jesus write? None. The Bible was written by his disciples. And Lord Caitanya wrote what? And that was the only thing he wrote, right? Hopefully we have time, I could get into why that is, but we'll save that for now. I want to get into this paragraph here. This is the last paragraph of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the introduction to the Srimad Bhagavatam. The introduction is long, it's about 50 pages, but Srila Prabhupada spends most of the time in that introduction talking about Lord Caitanya. And this is the last paragraph he writes. The Lord left only 8 slokas of his instructions in writing, the Lord being Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and they are known as Śikṣāṣṭakam. All other literatures of his divine cult were extensively written by the Lord's principal followers, the 6 Goswamis who are on the altar, and their followers. The cult of Chaitanya philosophy is richer than any other, and it is admitted to be the living religion of the day, with the potency for spreading as Vishwadharma, or universal religion. We are glad that the matter has been taken up by some enthusiastic sages like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, who's on the altar, and his disciples, Srila Prabhupada. We shall eagerly wait for the happy days of Bhagavata Dharma or Prema Dharma, inaugurated by the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so what I wanted to do for this class was to actually go over the Śikṣāṣṭakam. Obviously, there's 8 verses, and each verse could be a class in itself. So what I wanted to do was just have everybody here read with me each verse in English. We're going to read this so we can all say we've read the Śikṣāṣṭakam. Now we have some familiarity with it now, because I feel like it's something very, very cool, that doesn't get too much attention. So I'm going to just go ahead and read. I'm going to start reading, pick up my pace that I'm reading at, and read with me. I want everyone to read with me. All right? So glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart for years and extinguishes the fire of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity.
Because it spreads.
Diction Moon, and it is a life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. All right, so I'll read. You'll let us in. It's okay. That's verse 1. This is verse 2. Oh, it's too small? Yeah. Let's see if this helps. Maybe Don will get mad at me. Is that better? All right, let's try one again then. Sorry for that. Which glory to the sweet Krishna Sankirtana, which will cleanse the heart.
All the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of eternity and death. The Sankirtan movement is a prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
Very good. Verse 2. O my
O
Lord.
my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus, you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, approach you by chanting your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction to them.
Very good.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
Very good.
O son of Parajananda, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. Be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name. When will my voice look up, and when will my hairs on my body stand on end after the recitation of your name? Feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world of your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so roughly. Or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before you. He is completely free in everything and everything.
Very good. It's a dense. It is very dense reading. It's not kindergarten. So great job, and you guys did that in unison. So, and more importantly, you've read the Śikṣāṣṭakam now. You know you've had some. This is the only writing. Everything we do here, all the tilak we wear, the Hare Krishna mantra we're singing, the worship that's going on daily, is all because of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And this, what we just read there, is the English translation of the only writing he left in the history of the world. It's the only writing he left. Now, let's go back to the question of why. Why do you think Jesus didn't write anything and Lord Caitanya only wrote this?
which comes through associating faith. People have already seen that. And it's given to you directly. You don't really do it. Now, the leadership is important because you have to understand the message. But your leadership, the letters you have to do, the things that you know in your heart, and that's what you kind of use the living control.
Very, very, very articulate answer. There's definitely that focus on not the theoretical, but the personal, what you could feel. Exactly. But I'm wondering, why focus more on the personal than the theoretical? And what I think is, I think about when Jesus was born. Approximately how long ago was that? Exactly. I mean, how significant his life was. We actually count the time. We started counting time after his birth. That's when recorded history started for many people. You know, so very significant figure. So about 2,000 years ago, and Lord Caitanya was born about when? 500 years ago in Bengal, India, right? Sorry? Most recent, yes, very, very recent. However, even though they seem far apart, what age were they born in? In Vedic terms, they were both born in Kali Yuga, which is the age that's symbolized by what? Quarrel, hypocrisy, stupidity. You know, people are not very intelligent in Kali Yuga. And we can see that, you know, we don't have to look at other people, we can look at ourselves, you know. We know that this is a very, 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 very fallen age. And I think one of the reasons, and this is just speculation, but it's something to consider, that Jesus and Lord Caitanya didn't focus so much on the theoretical is because to really get into the theoretical of God is something that is really, it is going to be extremely difficult in Kali Yuga, and we're not even going to touch that. Just chant, depend on the holy name of the Lord in this age of Kali Yuga, in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So, in that aspect, you know, they're similar, like they're seeing people pretty much on the same level. It's not about the ritualistic, you know, religion and Vedic rites and performances. This is about connecting personally, feeling it in your heart, and transforming yourself into somebody that God likes to see. Now, let me ask, does anybody know who this individual is? Oh boy, that wasn't supposed to be, so, these bullets here were supposed to come one by one. They were not supposed to appear all at once. So, it's kind of ruined that part of the presentation. This is Eliud Kipchoge, all right? He is the first person to run a marathon in 26.2 miles in under 2 hours. So that means he had a 4-minute and 34-second pace per mile. Most of us probably went to school and we had that mile test, you know, a mile run. We all did it in PE, you know, and we had, most people dropped out, some people finished. But this is the best in the world, what it looks like. To run 26 miles in 2 hours, you have to run 13 miles an hour. And the maximum speed on your treadmill at home, I would guess it's 12 miles an hour. Most treadmills, you'd have to be in an athletic facility to go higher than 12 miles an hour. That's a 5-minute mile pace. So for 2 hours, this man ran 13 miles an hour. It's an incredible feat. And when I thought about it, I wondered, well, what could this teach me about the Śikṣāṣṭakam? And I thought about pace. And I don't want to say it's a realization, but maybe it's a proposition. But to the class, but this Śikṣāṣṭakam is not only many devotees, and many devotees here have heard it, as we go from verses 1 to 8, we get deeper into devotional service, deeper into ecstatic love, and you can see it by the plain reading of the words. You know, it's from 1 to, this is cool. You know, this is glory to the Sankirtan, the Sri Krishna Sankirtan. And by the time you get to 8, it's unconditional love. They're very different tones in those verses. So you get deeper as you go. And not only do you get deeper, but the pace changes. The pace changes. And one example I thought of, there was a devotee here many years ago who had an initiation, not to put a damper on anything, but this is the truth, and it's what made me think of this. He was getting they were doing a fire sacrifice right here in this room, and the devotee was crying like anything. You know, he was really exhibiting the feelings of 7. There were torrents of rain flowing from his eyes, you know, and this guy is happy. Unfortunately, you know, we never saw him again. We saw him at one time and he never came back. And what I realized was, now of course many things could have happened. It doesn't mean he fell away from the movement. He could have gone back to God. Anything could have happened to him. But I think that wasn't his pace. Crying incessantly, you know, I mean, you might be able to sprint or have the occasion where you feel that way, but that's not your pace. In contrast, I think everybody here, I can confidently say, is at least at the first verse in terms of pace. And why I say that is because if any one of us here saw a group of devotees outside and they were chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, they were chanting the Panchatattva mantra, no matter who they belonged to, no matter if they were Ritvik, no matter if they were Krishna West, if they were Srila Narayan, if they were Miami Outreach, if they were ISKCON Miami, or if they were Fort Lauderdale ISKCON. No matter what group they belong to, we would appreciate what they're doing. We would say, now that we know the verse, we might say, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan. You know, we know that this cleanses the heart of the dust accumulated after many, many lifetimes. And we can do that 24/7, no matter what condition we're in. We can appreciate the chanting of the holy name. And that's our pace. And the point, one of the goals I had for this lecture was to convince myself to move from verse 1 to verse 2. Just make that little step. Instead of just saying that the movement is this mantra and this chanting is cool, I think verse 2's pace is actually realizing what Lord Caitanya has offered us. When Lord Caitanya writes and says, you have hundreds of millions of names, and in these transcendental names you have invested all the transcendental energies, and out of kindness, we can approach you with no hard and fast rules just by chanting these names. That is unmatched in the history of the world. You can approach God in a personal relationship, almost like boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, parent and child, this intimate relationship, just by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, just by chanting your holy name. Realizing that is one thing. And then it's also realizing the last line, I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. To realize not only the opportunity that we have, but also that, man, I don't know how unfortunate I am to not take advantage of this opportunity. You know, what do I have to do to take advantage of this opportunity? You know, so it's a simple thing, just a simple goal I have, and encourage you to do it too, is to try and pick up the pace, of devotion by understanding these verses. We can gauge where we're at and where we need to go. Now, with that in mind, I want to ask, who can think of an example of verse 8? Who is on the level of verse 8? Srimati Rana, great answer. That'll be my first choice too. And he claimed it's the only one. Anybody? Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani. Definitely, without question. Anybody else? I think there's somebody else. Srila Prabhupada? I think that's arguable. I absolutely think it's arguable. Who else? I'm going to argue it's Jesus. Jesus Christ. We all know what he went through. And when you read that line there, verse 8, he is completely, being the Lord, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord. This is as big as I can make it, unfortunately, for the sake of the stream. Yeah, I tried to make it as big as I could, so I apologize for that. But yeah, that last line in verse 8, Lord Caitanya writes, I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. And I think Jesus Christ represented that too. Unconditional. Even if you go through all this, what he went through, I am not going to give you up. And I think it shows that, the spiritual theme, it is not limited to one religion or one philosophy. These saints and sages act the same for a reason, because they're all on that same spiritual frequency. As my father's guru, Dhanavir Goswami said, he said that years ago over there in this temple. He said that just like you tune onto a radio, you select a particular frequency. And what that frequency is going to determine your consciousness. So if you turn into, like a very, passionate or very hateful or, violent frequency, you're going to start to think that way. And if you tune into a spiritual frequency, like what Lord Caitanya had, what Haridas Thakur had, what Jesus tuned into, what Muhammad turned into, all the saints of antiquity, they were on the same page. So it is a frequency, and the Śikṣāṣṭakam can give us an idea of what our basis in devotion. All right, so as a short class, are there any questions?
Can you explain why the comparison between these things and the Lord Caitanya, the end of the day, we know that this is like a practical way, which the Lord Caitanya consider that the great event that was saving humanity before. Something like this to go up to power and to be nailed on the cross. That's very significant for them. They are saved. But he did that to show how he was so much attached to the Lord, and he really defended himself. It's an act of non-violence to the mass. And then they use that as an example to liberate him. And in the case of telling how to live, how is it that it's like to speak?
Yes, so as I've heard, and this is just hearsay, and maybe Dharma or even Ishvaki Prabhu can confirm it, how Lord Caitanya actually ended his pastimes on the planet. He merged into a deity. Well, there are three versions. So yeah, please explain. I mean, is Lord, for the sake of Lord Caitanya, you know?
Vaishnavas, they say that two things are possible.
Mhm.
Because usually God perceives several times and several places at the same time. One day that he went to the sea without
God. So one version of his disappearance, Lord Chaitanya's disappearance, is that he went into the sea, into the Bay of Bengal, and he disappeared. Less common, less heard of one. The other one is that he merged into the Lord Jagannath Deity at Jagannath Puri. Mm-hmm. And he merged into I didn't get that. Tota Gopinath deity. So two versions have him merging into a deity, and that's the most common one, that last one, of how he ended his pastimes on earth. So that was one part of your question. But then the other part that you mentioned was, well, you talked about how many Christians, use the tragic end of Jesus' life as a yes. Absolutely, but and people can see it glorious for different reasons. Some people see it glorious as like that is a remarkable amount of tolerance, where he lived the principles of turn the other cheek, and practice what he preached. But then again, of course, and it's Kali Yuga. People can interpret how, that's the danger of making it very personal, is that people can make it very, yeah, as they want. Absolutely, yeah. Do you want to say something? Okay, yeah, Prabhu, please.
So it's violence, but it's like Shraddha describing it's violence that is a harmony that we all have to do. The harmony is the harmony. Protect from harm, that's what it means. So similarly, Jesus Christ had the harmony to do that act. And if we look at the death and the violence, we see the violence, but if we look at the actual act, it's the ultimate devotional service.
Absolutely, and the ultimate example, and Prabhu was saying, in case you didn't hear, he said that, just like the Battle of Kurukshetra, that was extremely violent, 600 plus million people died in the Battle of Kurukshetra, and even Yudhishthira was distraught over all the killing, all the carnage that went through. But it was dharmic, as Prabhu said. It was done for a greater cause. And just like Jesus' sacrifice, even though it was extremely violent, we can't even speak about it, it is dharma in a sense that it is his dharma to show the perfect example.
On the second verse here, last line, Lord, makes it easy to follow, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction
For the names.
for the vocabulary. My question is, why am I so unfortunate that I have no attraction? And more importantly, how can I get that attraction for Catholic?
Yeah, absolutely great question and a very practical question. The question is, why do I not have that attraction? And how do I get that attraction for chanting the holy names? Sorry? Humility. With humility? Absolutely. To even recognize that is a sign of humility, To recognize that you don't have attraction, but you want attraction. And in a way, Lord Chaitanya did kind of summarize it. He said, even if you don't have the desire to chant, then desire the desire to chant, right? It starts with that, the desire. And that desire also answers the first part of your question is why you're so unfortunate. We have to remember always, and this helps us be compassionate towards other people, we have to remember why we're here in the material world to begin with. Right? We're all here to see what it's like to be a Lord. That's the only reason you come to the material world. What is life like without Krishna in the center? And we see that there's always been and there always will be men especially, but probably women too, who believe they are in control of everything. And they want it that way. And they work for that. And we have to have the humility to see that we were also that way. It may not be this life, fortunately, but because we know better and we know about previous lives and we know about karma, we know we can see, yes, we were like that. That's why we're not back in the spiritual world to begin with. That's why we're here. So your question specifically about why you have no attraction for the names, it boils down to, well, you didn't want attraction. You know, if you had attraction for the holy names, you wouldn't be in the material world playing out your lila, you know, of trying to be the Lord of the universe. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it is the reality. And to how to get that attraction, there are many ways. First, desiring the desire. As actually, it's like a theme in every class, you know, what we could do to develop the desire of wanting to engage in devotional service by associating with devotees, by listening to the class, by eating prasadam, by engaging in deity worship. There are so many small ways to knowingly and unknowingly develop a stronger desire to chant the holy name of the Lord. Prabhu?
He did the analogy that when a person is sick, what liver problem, everything that he takes liver. Even if this tasting sugar candy, that is very, very, very sweet, because he has a liver problem, everything, even the sugar will taste bitter.
Yes.
So it's recommended that you keep eating the sugar.
Yes.
So I said that we have to chant thank you. And you process attentively and constantly.
Yes.
And you process time that actually alive.
Yes.
And the other point is that the holy name is called Nama Prabhu, because the holy name is a person. And the Maha Mantra is a person, and that person is Krishna. Krishna is his person. So just like we pray to Krishna, the name of service, the level of love. So then there are also prayers. We have to pray to Nama Prabhu, to holiness, please let me feel attraction to it.
Yes.
Because the only way we can feel attraction complete for the holiness of Krishna is to Krishna gives that light on the heart.
Yes. Many points. Hare Krishna. Unitari Ki Jai, Shri Radha Bihari Ki. Many points in that comment. I'll try to summarize them. The holy name, just like if you had a disease, if you had jaundice or something wrong, you have to, if you have this disease where everything tastes bitter, the only cure is to keep taking the medicine, even if it tastes bitter. And that is, it's absolutely true because, and I've heard it put another way, you know, the only way to cure offenses to the holy name or to chanting is to chant more. That's how you cure it, you know, it is the cure for it. So you have to keep chanting, and you also have to understand that the holy name is a person. You know, it is Krishna himself, and when we chant his name, it is actually associated with the person, Krishna. Just like you're listening to a person give a class right now. It is along the same lines. One thing I'd say though, that's interesting, is that, and it always triggers a flag in my head, you know, somebody could argue, okay, you're telling me to keep doing this until I like it, right? And that's manipulation. You're telling me that if I just keep doing this, I'll fall in love with it. But if I keep doing anything, I'll fall in love with it. You know, and that's the things I want to be aware of, or bring out that, you know, take your time, go at your pace. Go at your pace. But be honest with yourself. You know, and that's for everybody, no matter what our level is. You know, you have to be honest with yourself, because we've all seen too many devotees trying to keep a pace that they can't keep, and they just give up entirely. They drop out of the race. We want to avoid that. It is a marathon. Krishna consciousness is a marathon, and it's not a sprint, right? So take our time, go as far as you can, but try your best, and gradually you will improve in anything you want to.
I think I would say the guiding way, the most direct approach to Krishna is to immerse your spiritual mind. Because the spiritual mind has the ability to awaken you. That all the mind that is there by disassociating. You don't have to live. You have to live in order to take in the other life. And yet, that's what was very young man. So, you feel an election. When I first saw him, I thought something happened. I never felt it. So I knew right there that there was something more kind of that the book. That I went really reading it. But then I had different classes for me. And I guess we have to say you have to practice, to get that feeling back, the emotion, which we are all part of. We have to practice.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And getting that flame back is a topic in itself. It's a lecture, you know, it's a lecture in itself. You know, and you know, unfortunately, we are limited by Kala, by time, you know, and we can only cover and touch on so many topics, you know, in 20 minutes, in 30 minutes. But that is an interesting question of getting that flame back. How'd you lose the fame in the first place, you know? And, you know, what do we do now? Absolutely interesting. But I think what we can all take away is we have to do whatever it takes to not burn ourselves out, to not give up, you know? But that also means don't cheat ourselves into thinking that we're good and we don't have to improve. We don't have to fast for Ekadasi. We don't have to fast for Gaurpuni that's coming up. That's just an example. You know, you don't want to fall into that trap of thinking, of getting comfortable. And Jesus and Lord Caitanya clearly never got comfortable, no matter whether they were on the pinnacle of devotional service. They never acted like that. They never got comfortable. Like he was cleaning the Gangicha temple to give one pastime of Lord Caitanya. As he was cleaning, they would have a competition of who could sweep up the most debris, who could sweep up the most dust in the temple. And whenever they stopped, and glory to the devotees, I saw the pictures of them cleaning Saturday. Glory, great job, I mean, awesome service. And it ties to this example. Lord Caitanya would keep finding more and more dust. He would always find more and more dust to clean from the and it's a temple, it's Lord Jagannath's temple that's being cleaned by his devotees. But to show the example, there's always room for improvement. Never get comfortable. Don't cheat yourself into getting comfortable. I'll talk to myself. And but still, don't burn yourself out. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, definitely.
There was a mention here about the Śikṣāṣṭakam and Prabhupada also mentions Śikṣāṣṭakam, right? So can you make a distinction
Between Vishpadharma and... Yes. Well, Prema Dharma, and you break it down, right? Prema is love, and Dharma is your duty, right? Your Prema Dharma are your duty to perform devotional service, right? That's one thing. And Vishpadharma is universal religion. So they are, it's a great question. There is a distinction between the two. Vishva Dharma is something, is a way, but this is the method where which everyone can achieve or carry out Prema Dharma. Right? That is their eternal Dharma. It is ultimately to have a relationship with Krishna in some way. That is your Prema Dharma. Right? Whether it's Prema or not, that remains to be seen. But it is going to be a relationship with Krishna. That is the end all be all of everything. That's the absolute end of truth. It's your relationship with Krishna. But Vishva Dharma, that universal religion, is that those religious acts we can perform, that everyone can perform, that leads to your eternal Dharma of loving Krishna, of developing a relationship with Krishna. So when Srila Prabhupada talked about Vishva Dharma, or mentioned Vishva Dharma, he was talking about this Lord Chaitanya's movement is for everybody. I mean, absolutely, it's not just for Indians, it's not just for Russians, and not just for any group you want to name or describe. It's for everybody. Vishva Dharma, this chanting of the holy name crosses all boundaries, and that's what I tried to show with Jesus Christ, that he is living this too. He is living Prema Dharma. And he's not a Hare Krishna. He's not chanting Hare Krishna. But spiritually, you could see the similarities between them, which confirms that this is Vishva Dharma. And how many times to say it, the fact that we have such a diverse crowd is another indication of the Vishva Dharma with it. We've all been to temples where it's like, okay, this is one crowd, this is a social gathering for people who look like me, we know, we've all been there. But something like an ISKCON temple, it's nothing like it for religion. Bring people together, and we're all chanting the same mantra, and we're all doing these simple things, which to me shows is evidence that this is Vishva Dharma. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Great questions. I didn't expect so many. Any others? Nikki? You got any? Hare Krishna. She had a lot last night. I was going over this presentation with her. No, that's great. So Tuesday is Lord Chaitanya's official appearance day. Hope to see you all there. There's prasadam in the back. I think most of you know. And, I really appreciate your participation and your attention. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Huh? I took the